During the Stone Age, humans had to go out to secure their livelihood. Similar to present times, it required a lot of work and effort. However, just like in the present, when nature called, men and women had to stop any action or work they were performing to fulfill nature's call. Toilet paper did not exist, or at least hygiene was not a priority. Other more demanding priorities existed, saving lives for example. Before toilet paper, people mainly used anything that was free, easy and accessible for personal hygiene. Materials like lettuce leaves, fabric scraps, grass or non-poisonous herbs, and believe it or not, coconut shells, and corn on the cob, or what was left of it after removing and using the kernels. In ancient Greece, the Greeks cleaned themselves with pieces of clay and stones without sharp edges, while the Romans used wet sponges tied to a stick dipped in salt water from buckets inside public restrooms, with the clear intention to not harm themselves in their cleaning process. On the other hand, towns in the Arctic regions opted for moss in the summer and snow in the winter, and people living in the coast, their solution came from seashells and algae. The first ones to create and use toilet paper were the Chinese, who in the 2nd century, before the Common Era, designed it with the main purpose of personal hygiene. In the 16th century, Chinese toilet paper stood out for their large size, half a meter wide by 90 centimeters of length. Without a doubt, this paper was in line with the hierarchical position of their users, the emperors themselves and their courtiers. In 1857, Joseph Gayety was the first to commercialize toilet paper and is recognized as the modern inventor of this product. The sheets of paper were scented and moistened with aloe, called Gayety's medicated paper, to help people who had issues with hemorrhoids. His name was printed on each sheet, but its price was high, $12 for a roll of 500 sheets. That's why this company was a total commercial disaster, since there were still many available free options. In the late 19th century and early 20th century, the Americans used Sears catalog pages to replace toilet paper. In fact, the almanac photos of the 1800 and early 1900 show that the book was made with a hole in the corner, so people could easily hang them in a latrine and use it for such purposes. And around 1890, brothers Edward Irvin and Clarence Scott founded Scott Paper Company, which finally, with a society prepared for it, began successfully commercializing and popularizing their toilet paper roll, selling them in hotels and pharmacies. Since then, the use of toilet paper became widespread. Even though, at the time it was considered immoral and harmful for toilet paper to be visibly exposed in stores for the general public. In 1891, Seth Wheeler created the perforated toilet paper. He illustrated his new and futuristic creation by consistently making the sheet separate along the perforation, which was fundamental to avoid any waste. Finally, in 1935 a toilet paper was launched, whose manufacturing and texture still prevail to this day. Super soft, strong and extra absorbent, with discrete colors, white and beige, and with the perforations added by Wheeler to avoid any waste.